On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about The Rime of Memory by Panopticon. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal. We like to talk about it. It is January,
yes,
the coldest and darkest month of the year. And boy, has it been a cold and dark one for the last couple of weeks here.
Yeah, it has been very cold.
And so since it's the coldest and darkest month of the year, we take this time to talk specifically about black metal albums.
Yes.
Or black metal adjacent albums.
Yes.
Albums that at least have their roots in black metal.
This one definitely does.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're back. We didn't record last week because you were ill.
I was very
you're
ill.
still ill.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not so much ill as my throat is healing.
Yes.
Is the deal.
You took a day off and just slept the entire time.
I did.
And I texted you. It was like, hey, are we, I know you didn't come to work today, but are we recording tonight? And then I got nothing.
Yeah, because I was unfucking conscious.
So we didn't record last week. And since we record kind of late in the week, so it's like, it's for like pickup records. It becomes a little difficult to schedule sometimes. So
right.
We just decided to have an off week last week and tell no one.
I hope you weren't worried about our health and safety.
Yeah, we were okay.
Yeah, we're fine.
Other than all the other stuff, other than trying not to freeze to death, we were okay.
Or trying not to die of bronchitis.
Yeah, it's good Lord, it has been cold out there. It's gonna warm. It's warming back up.
Get to like 40 on Monday.
Yeah, like this has been like since winter in North Dakota basically starts in November. Like November 1st may as well be the first day of winter in North Dakota. Sometimes it's October 20th. But
no, it was kind of October because I went trick-or-treating.
Yeah, there was snow on Halloween.
And it was cold as shit.
And then it basically didn't snow again until December 31st.
Right.
It was kind of a bizarre start to winter of like, not warm, but unseasonably warm for North Dakota. And then since about 2 weeks ago, it was like, all right, time to be a high of -10 every day. And wind chills down to -40 at night.
Right. And here's the fun part. We had unseasonably warm. And so my oldest daughter said that she's bringing her husband to North Dakota. He's going to see snow for the first time ever. He's lived near Phoenix for 30 years.
Yes.
He has never seen snow. And she says, now, are we going to need jackets? I said, it's been unseasonably warm. You're not going to need anything. You're going to be fine.
You'll be fine. Don't even pack a sweater.
Shorts, bathing suit, maybe.
Yeah.
Wear your Crocs.
You remember what it's like up here.
It's January in North Dakota. And then it was, for that week that they were here.
Yeah.
That's when it was ass cold.
So now that they're gone,
it's going to warm up again.
It's warming back up. It's already begun. We're already cracking above zero for the high temperature every day.
It's like a heat wave.
But I mean, genuinely by next week.
Right.
Like it's happened before in January. I feel like it's kind of every other year where suddenly we'll be above freezing in January. It's one or the other. It's either like, we'll have, and sometimes it's both, I guess.
Well, like
it's
this
literally,
month.
it's literally not one or the other. Sometimes it's bipolar weather. That we get.
One day you're outside in your parka and your mittens and your face is covered and your hood is up. And the very next day you're outside wearing nothing but your pasties and a cock ring.
Exactly.
There you are.
And a merkin.
Exactly.
I mean, you want to be tasteful.
Sure. Exactly. And it might still be a little chilly. You want to keep the breeze off a little bit.
Well, that's what the merkin's for.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Cut down on the wind just a little bit.
Exactly.
And for modesty.
What if someone sees you?
Exactly. Exact. Think of the children. But yeah, it's been fucking freezing.
Yeah, it has.
And I decided this year, because what I've been doing in previous years is I've been covering up the vent in my bathroom.
Yeah.
Because it just fucking blasts cold air into my apartment from outside because of just because of the way thermodynamics works.
Sure.
Where the vent is at a certain point open to the outside. And, you know, the air outside is very cold and high pressure. And the air in here is warm and low pressure. So the high pressure wants to go to the low pressure.
Well, plus, in order to heat a given space, an enclosed space, you have to vent a whole lot of hot air, like exhaust. There's a lot of exhaust that comes out. And if exhaust is going out, it's going to suck cold air in.
Yeah. And so it just blasts cold air into my shower.
Right. Yeah. You know, where you want to be cold.
Yeah.
Where you're wet.
So, I mean, like, you know, just stay under the warm water and you'll be fine. But like, it's like previous years. There was one year where I was just like, okay, well, maybe I'll just keep the bathroom door closed.
Right.
That was a bad idea because then it made my bathroom be like 40 degrees.
Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah, Fahrenheit. No, it somehow made my bathroom warmer. It's weird. 40 degrees Celsius.
40 degrees Kelvin.
That's fucking baking. 40 degrees Celsius is baking.
It is. It's very hot. But it's 40 degrees Kelvin.
Yeah, 40 degrees Kelvin that's
you'd be long since dead.
Liquid nitrogen event right there.
Yeah. Solid nitrogen.
Then I decided, I was like, okay, maybe I'll cover up my vent, and I couldn't figure out how to cover it up. So what I did is I just stuffed a fuckload of cotton balls up in there.
Okay.
And that worked.
Yeah.
But also it was a pain in the ass to do, and it took forever. So then last year I was like, oh, hey, I could take some pins and like take like a sheet and then put it over the to like secure it in place. I took a bit of extra foam, a bit of extra sound foam that I had, and then I put like a sheet on there to like make contact with the vent itself.
Sure.
And then I pinned it up, and that worked really well.
Nice.
But then this year I was just like, that's probably not like ultimately healthy for me to basically have no ventilation in this apartment whatsoever.
Sure.
So I kind of just decided to say fuck it, and I presume take the hit for the, you know, the heating bill for the month.
Okay.
And just leave the vent open and let it pour cold air into this apartment. And there is a certain something to it, I guess, in the sense that it is highly recommended by management that we do not turn our thermostats below 65 degrees.
Right.
So that way, like, pipes don't freeze. So it's like there's kind of a threshold for how cold it'll get in here anyway. I don't think this actually is anything, but it's just a thing, part of a thing that I tell myself. I also don't look at my heating bill every month.
Right.
Like,
no, is it electric? It's electric heat, right? Yeah.
I don't think it's technically electric. Like, 'cause we have a boiler. Like, there's water going through there.
Ah, gotcha.
It's so I actually don't remember what utilities are all paid for in rent.
Okay.
I've been living here this long where I kind of forgot. I've forgotten what is what because it's all auto pay.
Do you pay MDU?
No, I pay
Excel.
Yes, I pay Excel.
So it's probably electric heat.
Boiler. Yeah, it's an electric heat boiler is what it is. All I know is that there's water going through there because when it was fucking broken last year, there was all kinds of shit that had to happen.
right,
with valves and stuff, because it was not working because there was a valve that got installed fucking backwards.
Ooh.
And so it was just not working the way it was supposed to.
See, I lived in an apartment that was radiator heated like that for a very long time.
Wow.
But the weird thing is like they just put a random number of these radiators, and it wasn't these radiators like baseboard radiators.
It was the classic radiator.
Classic radiators that was waist high, and in this one bedroom
that you can just touch.
Yeah, you could if you go up to maybe open the window a little bit and you lean close enough to it, you can get like a 2nd degree burn
on your belly.
On your belly, and the cool thing
or
was
your dick.
Just in the shape of that cock ring. But I mean, so here's the weird thing is that in this apartment they had, because it was a house. It was divided into 3 apartments.
Yeah.
The main floor had like 4 radiators. It was a 3-bedroom, and they had 4 radiators in it.
So one in each bedroom and one in a communal space.
Yes. And then the upstairs apartment was a 1-bedroom, and it had 2 radiators in it. And I was in the basement
where there were
4 radiators in it. and one person, the main floor, had control of the thermostat. So it'd be like 40 below outside, and my windows would be open with steam rolling out because it's 110 in there.
Because you have 4. How many rooms was this basement?
2 rooms. There was
2 rooms with 4. How big were they?
Not big.
Why?
I don't know. There was one by the window here. There was one in the area that was the kitchen, was just technically still part of the living room.
Yeah.
There was 2 in the bedroom, and there was 1 in the bathroom.
I guess maybe part of the idea is that like heat rises up.
Sure.
Maybe when the house was originally built, it was not envisioned that the basement would be a living space. So it was like, oh, well, the basement is maybe going to be uncomfortably warm, but we're not going to spend very much time down there. So it's fine. So they'll have all these radiators in the bottom, and all that heat will rise up to the upper levels.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't work when someone has to live down there.
Right, because it's sealed off. I mean, my heat doesn't go into their apartment, hopefully.
That reminds me of my freshman year of college in McCullough dorm, which was at that time an all boys dorm. It actually, I believe, had started as an all girls dorm, and then shit got flip flopped around. There were sinks in these dorm rooms. That was the only like amenity, and every dorm room had a sink for some reason. But like it was communal bathrooms, everything else, regular dorm room, communal bathrooms, communal showers. But like the rooms had a sink, and also for whatever goddamn reason, that those dorm rooms in general would get so uncomfortably hot and humid during the winter time. I remember for a lot of the coldest part of the winter, I would leave my window cracked open while I fucking slept.
Sure. To
try and get it to be a temperature that I could sleep at, because it was just like I cannot sleep when it's hot in my apartment.
I hear you.
Like I cannot sleep. Like it's a weird thing because people talk it like when it's nice, when it's really hot out and it's kind of humid, it's like, this is good sleeping weather. It's like, no, that's good napping weather.
Yeah.
You don't want to fucking sleep in that. You want to go outside under the shade and take a nap out there. And that's great. I think that's wonderful. I agree with that. But like inside when I'm trying to actually sleep, I want it to be fucking cold.
Right. I want it to be 8 degrees.
Maybe not that cold, but like I think for me, like ideal sleeping is probably like somewhere in the realm of like 65 to 70 degrees. Somewhere in there. That's
70's kind of warm.
So yeah, 70, like, yeah, I agree with you. 70's maybe pushing it a little bit.
Right.
Part of it with me is also I have multiple weighted blankets that I sleep under. I have a lot of like, I like to sleep under a lot of blankets and comforters and stuff. Like I like to feel cozy.
Right.
And I have trouble sleeping without those things. But because there are so many layers,
right,
it gets pretty hot if it's also hot out in the air.
Do you have to hang one leg out as like a sort of a regulatory thing?
No, because I keep it like I tend to. I don't think I'm not a very warm person.
Yeah.
Body heat wise. Yeah. I don't run.
Oh yeah. Body heat wise.
Yeah. I don't think I run very hot when it comes to like, I don't seem to generate a lot of body heat.
Yeah.
So I don't tend to have a problem like that as long as it is. I can sleep under a lot of sheets as long as the air outside is like, again, somewhere betwixt 65 and 70 degrees.
Maybe 60.
Yeah.
Could you sleep in 60 degree weather?
I could sleep in. I mean, that's what the blankets are for.
Right. Exactly. I mean, when my house was flooded during the flood in 2011, I slept in a pop-up camper well into October.
Oh, wow.
And I there was a light above my head and I had my alpaca hat on. And I was laying there in the blanket, and I remember more than one occasion reaching up to turn off the light and seeing my breath come up toward my hand.
Speaking of seeing your breath, I think it was on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I had some work to finish up, and then I went to go get some food. And while I was in my garage, I noticed my breath. It looked like I was exhaling just the fattest fucking rip of vape. Like I had just a huge vape rig in my hand and just taken just a massive chunky hit off of that. Like it was like, I don't know if I had ever seen my breath fog up quite in that way. I took off one of my gloves and there was fucking vapor coming off of my hand.
You were steaming.
It was that goddamn cold.
Yeah. And I think it was my son-in-law asked the first question nearly everybody asks when faced with the, oh, wow. So your breath becomes steam like that when it's this cold. He asked the question nearly everybody asks, does the same thing happen with farts?
Do farts steam in the cold weather?
Can they see your farts?
I mean, I imagine they would, but also people wear pants. So you wouldn't, if you had your bare ass out in that incredible cold, maybe it would be visible. I don't know.
It would be, but I think people would be focusing on other stuff.
Yeah, like the fact that you have your bare ass out in minus 15 degree weather. I think people would maybe focus on that a little bit.
Hey, that guy just farted. Yeah, maybe he should put some pants on.
He should probably. This is dangerous.
This seems foolhardy.
What is this? What is this? Jackass? Put some pants on, sir.
Steve-O.
Steve-O, put your goddamn pants on.
Sorry. I'll go ahead and put my pants on now.
Yeah, it's been cold as fuck. It's the same problem as last time we've recorded, except now all the lights are on. I just keep on looking.
I know, so do I.
Looking at my pretty computer.
Pretty good, and there are 3 fans going.
There's more than that.
Is there more than that? Oh, there's 6 fans.
There's fans on almost any surface that is not covered in glass.
Yeah.
There are fans.
Wow.
There are. I think there are a whole bunch of fans in the bottom. There are a bunch of fans in the top too that you can't see.
I can see 3 fans there.
Those hoses that go from the motherboard. Are linked to I presume they run into smaller hoses. Where there are the entire, in addition to the fans that are up in the top, it's also just all heat sinks.
Right.
It's all heat sinks up there that or heat exchangers that soak up heat from the water, or the liquid, whatever it is.
Right.
That comes from the motherboard.
The Prestone.
The Prestone. I don't even know what that is. Is that Christopher Nolan movie?
Yes, the Prestone.
The Prestone
with Wolverine and Batman.
Yeah, Christian Bale and huge jacked man.
Yeah, huge jacked man. And David Bowie.
And David Bowie's in The Prestige?
He is. He plays Nikola Tesla.
Oh, wow. Oh, I think I knew that.
Yeah.
I think I knew that. The only I know David Bowie was in multiple movies.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, when I think of David Bowie in movies, all I can think of is his performance from Firewalk with Me, where he's doing that weird Southern accent. Who would think that something from a David Lynch movie is weird?
Yeah. Why would it be? Why would he do something weird?
Why would something weird happen in a David Lynch production? But I don't know why. Like the first thing that I think it might actually be the only movie I've seen David Bowie in.
Really, you've never seen Labyrinth?
No, I've never actually seen Labyrinth. That's probably the most famous David Bowie movie.
Right.
I don't know if I could name another one that he was in.
He was in a movie called Dancing in the Streets with Mick Jagger. Have you ever seen that? It's a 3-minute movie. Seems to take forever.
He was in a movie. Was there a music video for Under Pressure?
I don't recall. I don't recall ever seeing one. I'm sure there was.
When did Under Pressure come out?
It was in the mid 80s.
I was gonna say
early to mid 80s. Yeah.
So I can't remember. Like I'm not good with my years when it comes to Queen. Like I can't remember when Freddie died. Like
1991.
Okay. For some reason I thought Freddie died earlier than that, but that's not the case.
Right.
I have to imagine there's a music video for Under Pressure. I don't know.
Yeah.
It would have been the era of music videos, right?
Right. Yeah. And I like that they recorded the song, not like singing as a duet, but not hearing each other do their parts at all.
Is that really?
They were completely oblivious to what the other person was going to sing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Especially for such like an iconic, feature.
Right.
Anyway, speaking of iconic,
yeah,
and also sort of going along with the theme, the earlier conversation of how fucking cold it is.
Panopticon.
So if you have never heard us talk about Panopticon before, Panopticon is an American black metal project, or maybe you could call them an extreme metal project, an atmospheric metal project, combining a wide variety of different influences. Starting out most notably with their earliest work being a pretty much more a straight up blend of black metal and bluegrass, of all things.
Which oddly works really well.
So Panopticon is and has been for pretty much the entirety of its existence a one-man project. The brainchild of Austin Lunn, who was born in Kentucky and would later move up to Minnesota, where he lives now. And so, he grew up in the home of bluegrass and surrounded by that, in his culture, and wrote a lot about, welfare and sort of the welfare and coal mining and all these things that were like, sort of a part of the ugly side of like Kentucky, right? Alongside his love of nature, he's been a lifelong outdoorsman. So it's sort of a combination of these things. His first big album was Kentucky, that kind of started getting attention from metal press. And that was all about, the coal mining industry in Kentucky, and kind of, again, combined with his love of nature and where the two things interact, sort of the real destructive nature of coal mining in Kentucky and, just taking the top off of mountains in the Appalachians and that sort of thing. And he has, I think, leaned more into environmentalism as the years have gone on, as far as like his writing subjects for the lyrics that he writes about. And that has sort of continued as he's moved up to Minnesota. There was Autumn Eternal in 2015, which was probably his biggest album that really got a lot of attention. You'll find reviews from like Pitchfork for Autumn Eternal, like big music websites started taking note of his stuff. But this latest album is called The Rime of Memory. Rime, R-I-M-E, as in a covering, a coating of ice. And this is, I feel like Austin's albums are very seasonal. Like there's something about so many of his albums that I seem to associate with different seasons. Like Autumn Eternal, obviously it's in the title.
Right. It's a spring album.
But, you have Autumn Eternal. I associate And Again Into the Light, which is the album from 2021, with Springtime.
Sure.
This album...
winter.
Very wintry, obviously.
Yeah.
Roads to the North, also very wintry. There's this album from 2018, which I can never remember the name of, and now I'm gonna have to look it up because it's got a long ass title. But that one is also very wintry to me. That album is, come on, Spotify, come on, don't film it now. The Scars of Man on the Once Nameless Wilderness.
Yes.
That one is very wintry. But I think we were talking about this at one point. Like, is there a summer album? I think Kentucky is kind of summery. Something about there's a very fiery energy to Kentucky.
Right.
And when I think about the Appalachian Mountains in Kentucky, I think of all green, greened up and a sweltering heat as these guys are going into the mines. Something about that feels kind of summery. But Rime of Memory, a very wintry album, a very bleak album, at least to start with. It never gets happy, but it does get slightly less bleak as it goes on. Bleak, but also gorgeous.
Very lush.
Oh my!
This is it almost feels like it's one ambient piece.
Yeah, a bit. I mean, I think the song lengths are longer than they've ever been.
Right.
This is what, 5-6 tracks. Let me look at it here.
I mean,
it is. There's a very short opening track.
Right.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 tracks, basically 5, because that opening track is like a minute and a half long. And all the other ones are at their shortest. An Autumn Storm is the shortest song on the album, and that is 9 minutes something. Yeah, that's 9 minutes 24 seconds. All the other ones are longer than that, going up to near 20 minutes.
Right. And the last cut is 14 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the songs have been getting longer and longer, and we talked about how early on it was mostly a fusion of just straight up black metal and bluegrass. And over time, Austin has started incorporating more and more influences from other genres. You'll hear, as you sort of go through his discography, influences from death metal. You'll hear influences from especially like these last 2 albums. There's a lot of post rock influences and sort of and getting into some post metal.
There's a lot of orchestral stuff on here.
Lots of there's the orchestral stuff, and then there's also, of course, there's bluegrass stuff in here as well. There's banjo, there's lots of fiddle, acoustic guitar, some slide guitar. I don't know if there's any like lap steel in here, or not lap steel, but like pedal steel. There's like a solo on here that I can't tell if it's like slide guitar, like slide acoustic, or if it's pedal steel.
I think it's his slide acoustic.
Yeah. But you can you kind of never really know with Austin because he plays so many fucking instruments. I don't think he plays. I think like the one thing he doesn't play on his albums is fiddle. I don't think he plays like violin or cello. At least not to my knowledge. I know on And Again Into the Light, someone else was credited with the fiddle / violin parts. But he's started incorporating so many more influences. It's still very much rooted in black metal, and like there are a couple songs on here that becomes very much more apparent. Like An Autumn Storm is that is maybe in a genre that is associated with the cold, frozen wastes of Norway, that is maybe one of the iciest and bleakest tracks I've heard. Not that I have a ton of experience with black metal, but holy shit, that song is fucking dark and bleak to start out with. It feels like you are being consumed by, it feels like, an extremely loud blizzard in the middle of the night when it's just black. Like, if you like, when it's a bad blizzard outside and the wind is blowing like 60 miles an hour, and you look outside and it's 10 o'clock or whatever, and it is pitch black and you can only see a foot out from your window. Right. Like that is the feeling from the beginning of an autumn storm. Like it's just a bleak track. But there's all those different influences that you can hear throughout this album. A term I have heard talked about in regards to this album, and I think just Panopticon's sound in general as the project has developed, is maximalism. Like you would not call his songs minimalist by any stretch. And that's that's a big thing in black metal is minimalism. That's not how he makes albums. It's, let's put as many instruments into this song as possible. Right. Let's use all of them.
If it feels like it could fit here, let's put it there. Yeah.
There is something about his that I had, like, there's a mode that I have to switch into, especially for these last couple Panopticon albums, where I have to remind myself with the guitars specifically that it's about atmosphere. Right. Because for about the first minute of when the guitars actually come in, because this album, you have to wait a while. You have to wait a while before you hear any electric guitar.
Right. Quite a while.
quite a long while before there's any electric guitar in this metal album. And that was kind of the case with And Again Into the Light as well. Really kind of makes you wait. But once the guitars come in, they feel really lo-fi. And part of that, I think, is like I said, it's about atmosphere, and it's about providing sort of a wall of sound and a backdrop for the other instruments. Right. More so because like there's not really any guitar solos on this album, which is a thing.
There are some.
There are a couple, but they're not like identifiable necessarily as like a metal guitar solo. Right. He's not shredding. There used to be on Panopticon albums. There are some pretty notable guitar solos that come to mind from like Autumn Eternal and Kentucky. But that he sort of moved away from that and given more solos to other instruments that don't normally have solos, like that slide acoustic, right? Fiddle solos as well. Like,
I mean, it seems like it's a couple of songs. Oh, I should remember names.
There's I don't know if it's hard. I don't remember if it's I don't know rather if it's accordion or melodica, but there's a solo for that in there too.
Yeah.
I can't sonically discern the difference between accordion and melodica.
I can't remember that. I don't.
I think it's in. I want to say it's in. It's probably towards the end of. I actually don't know. I don't know which song it's in. It could be any one of them. I think it might be at the end of An Autumn Storm.
An Autumn Storm?
Yeah. Because there's other than the main thing I remember about it in Autumn Storm is the beginning and how like bleak and dark it is. But what were you trying to remember before I kind of stepped on you there? Do you remember?
Oh, there's the orchestration in here. I mean, there's like a chamber group, like
the last few minutes of Cedar Skeletons.
Oh God,
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that's
well, and when
I just stopped doing dishes, I'm like, I can't do dishes right now.
Like you have the string section, and then you have like chanting vocals behind it as well. It feels so huge. And also it feels very visual to me as well, because in the middle of the song you have you kind of find out what the song is about. It's about forest fires in northern Minnesota. And that's, what the title is.
They have samples.
From the cedar skeletons. And there's a bunch of samples of like news clips of people, talking about these forest fires. And so that entire massive last section that just feels so huge, all I'm imagining is just like footage of absolutely raging forest fires.
Right.
Like
it's devastating.
It paints a really vivid picture. It does an amazing job of that. And the string section and the vocals there, it's so much. This entire album it's so much.
Right.
And I adore it for that. I think that's one of the that's my kind of black metal, I think, is I like the atmospheric stuff. I like the stuff that is like, okay, we're going to use this atmosphere and make it feel big and make it feel epic. Like Falls of Rauros does that as well, which is a band that, they're quite good friends with Austin. He's actually played drums for them multiple times where they've needed like a fill in, basically. Well, like they're another one of my favorite. I think it's kind of a thing with American black metal. Like when between bands like Wolves in the Throne Room and Panopticon and Falls of Rauros and I'm sure plenty others. I think there's kind of an identifiable thing with American black metal where it's like we're going to add more to this. We're going to we're adding our own flavor to it, our own little bit of cultural flavor, I think. And I've found that I enjoy this spin.
I wonder, here's my question. How do the traditionalist Scandinavian black metal artists feel about the American wave of black metal?
I don't know.
What is their take on it? I wonder if they poo-poo it as being...
I think they poo-poo everything.
They do. They hate everything.
they hate literally everything. So I think they'll poo-poo it no matter what. I don't know. It also depends on how much of a Nazi they are, considering like Austin and sort of a lot of the group there are sort of kind of big in the like anarchist sort of communist side of the black metal community. Yeah. People who are very, very explicitly anti-Nazi, anti-fascist. Yeah. I think they call it red and anarchist black metal is like the name of that community and bands that they like, of like, part of it is just a direct reaction to, hey, we know there's a lot of Nazis in black metal. Let's all band together and talk about bands that aren't fucking, that aren't fronted by people who are politically awful. Yeah. Let's
just awful in general.
Yeah. Let's promote those bands. And Panopticon is pretty big in those circles. There's so much. This is one of those albums where when I put it on, I feel like I need to just sit perfectly still and close my eyes. Yeah. And just get engrossed in it. It pulls you in. Right. And it's I don't know. It's big. It just feels huge. Right. Feels huge, dude. Does this album slap?
Yeah, yes, it does.
Jesus Christ. It slaps so hard. Yeah. I was looking up reviews. I couldn't find a ton of reviews that actually gave scores to it. Yeah. But I found 4 at the very least on like the front page of Google, and it came out to about a 79%. I would personally put it a bit higher. There's not a lot of reviews that I could find. There were some that I did find that rated like excellent, but didn't give it give it a numbered score. So it was maybe a little hard to, I would rate it higher if I were to give a number to it. But, what's your favorite song on the album?
I think that,
Cedar Skeletons.
Yeah.
I have a hard time choosing a single song.
Yeah.
But I think I think I know pretty definitively which one it is after my 2 listen throughs today.
Yeah.
Like Cedar Skeleton's fucking amazing. Winter's Ghost I really like as well.
Great song.
I think probably in Autumn Storm.
Yeah.
I like that song. I think it's identifiably my least favorite.
Is it?
Like it's still a great song. It's my least favorite. I think I have to choose Enduring the Snow Drought as my favorite song. The opening to that song is so fucking hype.
Yeah.
Like the opening riff is so goddamn like just immediately just like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And then you get to the last few minutes of that song.
Yeah.
There's this like the last half for about 4 minutes. There's this section where he does something with the bass that he's never done before. I don't know if it was the bass guitar, if it was an upright bass or whatever, but there's something there's a little trick that he does with the bass, a playing style that he's never used before that I really liked. And then you get into this just massive, huge, lush, atmospheric section at the end that I adore.
It's actually at the end of that song. I actually thought it was going to be the end of the album.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
And then it happens again.
Yeah.
with what is it? The Blue Against the White.
Right.
Like it happens again there. And the Blue Against the White starts to feel it's maybe the first point in the album that starts to feel like it's ticking up a little bit.
Right.
Like things are starting to feel maybe a little bit more hopeful, a little bit less bleak. And I presume the name kind of refers to like a blue sky on a winter's day.
Right.
Like the storm has passed. Yeah, it's still cold. It's still, white. There's still snow everywhere. But you have a clear sky and the sun is shining. And it feels a little bit like that.
Right.
When you get to the end of that song there. It's a little hard to say with lyrics because I guess I haven't looked to see if there are lyrics here. Austin has a habit of not releasing lyrics for any of his work.
Yeah. And he buries the vocals a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
These vocals I think are mixed a little bit better than they have been in the past on some of his projects. But they're still buried a little bit. There are points here also where he goes deeper and more guttural than I have ever heard. There's a point in Winter's Ghost where I was like, holy shit. Like he's never, because usually his style of screaming is pretty hoarse and pretty kind of maybe call it kind of breathy, a little ever so slightly like kind of approaching a wheeze a little bit, not that maybe carry some negative connotations in the context of metal vocals, but usually a very hoarse kind of shout that he tends to do.
Well, something that's very popular in post metal.
Yeah. That style of vocal. But then there's a point on Winter's Ghost where he just gets deep down into some real guttural death metal territory. And I was like, holy shit, I've never quite heard him do that before. I don't know. I love this album so much. I was like, there was some like, I guess like there's always a weird level of like mild apprehension I get when there's a new Panopticon record, because I'm like, can this live up to the band I have built this up to be in my head? Like where it almost feels like I don't have as much trust with this project as I do with certain other bands that I listen to that are like, in the pantheon of my favorite bands. For some reason, I seem to trust Austin less than some other artists.
Well, it's because you put his material up on such a pedestal.
I think that's it.
He can't possibly do something I love more than the last thing he did. I mean,
and then lo and behold, he does. And I think, I really like And Again Into the Light. I haven't gone back and listened to it a ton compared to like when I first got into Panopticon and like I was, really big. I really liked, Autumn Eternal, and going back and I've listened to Kentucky a bunch of times since then. And I really haven't given Roads to the North as many spins as maybe as it deserves. But like there are albums of his I've listened to a lot, and I've kind of let And Again Into the Light sort of be its own thing. This I feel like I'm going to come back to a lot. I think there's something about this that's got some real special sauce in there. I think there's a lot of elements that he experimented with and used on And Again that are kind of perfected in this album.
Right.
I don't know. I love it. I really love it. It's I want to listen to it again immediately. But,
this is one of those rare cases where we're talking about a thing and I actually can't stop what I heard from playing in my head. It's still there.
I've got the strings from the end of Cedar Skeletons going in my head right now.
Yep.
They won't stop.
Yeah.
God, it's so good. It's so good. So what medal are you bestowing upon this one, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
Kind of back and forth on it.
I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, it's a gold, of course.
Yeah, this is a gold for sure.
For sure. Solid gold.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So next week, what are you going to bring? Can it live up to this? Not that that's ever the mission.
No, I can tell you won't like next week's album as much as you like this one.
Okay.
Let's
but not that I won't like it, period.
Right, because actually good. I discovered that.
You're actually bringing something good for a change. Instead of bringing me fucking shit like you did with Hellhammer.
Okay, this is the band that formed in Sweden in 1990.
Okay.
I didn't know that Marduk was still making albums.
Marduk, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, their album from last year, Memento Mori. I actually listened to it and went, wow, they still got it.
Okay.
Should give it a listen.
We'll give it a spin.
Yeah.
So until you hear from us next week or whenever it comes out, maybe we'll take another off week, and it won't be. It'll still. I believe it'll still be January if we take another off week. But
that is true.
In any case, the next time you hear from us with a new episode, we'll talk about Marduk. But
in April.
In April. Until you hear from us then, why don't you go ahead and follow us on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever it's called these days. And also go ahead and subscribe to our feed on whatever device or service you're using to listen to us right now. Until you hear from us again, thank you. Or wait, we say our names at the end. We take an off week. I rearrange the recording space.
We don't know our ass from our hole in the ground.
Forget how to do this show.
Yep, completely.
But thank you very much for listening to another episode. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
Ding.